a critical dive into the world of excess and indulgence. Brace yourself for an unflattering comparison between Champa from Dragon Ball Super and Ethan Ralph. Both are notorious not only for their contentious behaviors, but also for their corpulence, which highlights their lack of self-control and indulgent lifestyles. I am your host Mitsuri, and in today's video, we'll explore how these two figures epitomize the pitfalls of overindulgence and arrogance. Strap in, cause this is gonna be a revealing one. Destructive disclosure. Champa's reckless tendencies in Dragon Ball Super mirror Ethan Ralph's real-life indiscretions, particularly highlighted in Ralph's involvement in doxing incidents. In the anime, Champa's impulsive decision-making often leads to unnecessary chaos, such as when he heedlessly provokes conflicts or misuses his powers without considering the repercussions. This is paralleled by Ralph's decision to disseminate personal information about individuals, notably during an online feud where he released private details of adversaries, an act that drew significant backlash and legal attention. In July 2023, during the Fuentes Rally 2, Ralph posted sensitive information including names and phone numbers of individuals known as Black Swan and In Hiding. This act of doxing was part of a broader pattern of behavior where Ralph used his platform to attack and intimidate others. This all started when Nick Fuentes politely asked him to not attend his rally while drunk, which enraged Ralph to no end. Similarly, Champa's careless actions in the series often put entire planets or universes at risk, reflecting a disregard for the well-being and privacy of others. Both figures misuse their power in ways that lead to destructive outcomes, highlighting a profound irresponsibility and the serious consequences of their actions. Number 9. Unhealthy indulgences. Champa from Dragon Ball Super and Ethan Ralph are often critiqued for their unhealthy lifestyles, especially their excessive eating. Champa, Universe 6's god of destruction, is regularly shown overindulging in food, a trait that reflects poorly on his duties and decision-making. This portrayal mirrors Ralph's public persona, where his dietary habits and physical health frequently attract negative attention and commentary. Both figures struggle with self-control, making their gluttony a defining but unflattering characteristic. Their tempers are equally problematic. Champa's quick-to-anger nature often escalates conflicts unnecessarily, affecting cosmic balances in his universe. Similarly, Ralph's temper has led to numerous public incidents, including online meltdowns and confrontations. These outbursts not only mirror Champa's destructive tendencies, but also highlight a shared inability to handle opposition calmly. Number 8. Public relations disasters. Champa's volatile relationships, particularly with his brother Beerus, showcase a constant theme of conflict and competition that often ends in embarrassment. This dynamic is strikingly similar to Ralph's frequent public and private feuds. Ralph's confrontations, especially those broadcasted during his live streams, echo Champa's dramatic showdowns, often resulting in public ridicule and loss of respect among peers. Moreover, both figures have a tendency to manipulate situations to their benefit, though usually with poor outcomes. Champa's attempts to outsmart or undermine his opponents during the Universe 6 and 7 tournaments often backfire, highlighting his underhanded tactics. Ralph's involvement in various controversies, such as the doxing incident, showcases a similar pattern of behavior that not only damages his reputation, but also alienates his audience. 7. Authority issues. Both Champa and Ralph share a notable disdain for authority and a tendency to clash with figures of power. Champa's regular disputes with his brother and other gods stem from a deep-seated rivalry and an inability to submit to higher judgment. This mirrors Ralph's repeated legal issues and his general resistance to law enforcement and platform regulations, which often spotlight his rebellious stance against any form of control. Their lack of respect for consequences further compounds their issues. Champa's careless decisions during important events in Dragon Ball Super, like endangering his universe out of spite or pride, parallel Ralph's disregard for the repercussions of his actions in the real world. This disregard is evident in Ralph's handling of sensitive information and engagements in legally and morally dubious activities, underscoring a shared recklessness that often leads to significant fallout. Number 6. Consequences ignored. Both Champa and Ralph often act with a blatant disregard for the consequences of their actions. Champa's willingness to put his own universe at risk over petty squabbles in Dragon Ball Super showcases his reckless approach to leadership and responsibility. Similarly, Ralph's engagement in activities that provoke and harm others, such as the infamous doxxing incidents, highlights a similar carelessness and lack of foresight. Each acts impulsively, prioritizing personal gratification or revenge over the well-being of others, leading to widespread criticism and negative outcomes. This disregard extends to their public image. Champa is often depicted as indifferent to how others perceive him, unless it affects his direct competition with Beerus. Ralph, despite being acutely aware of his public image, often exacerbates his notoriety with actions that alienate and offend, showing a similar indifference to public perception unless it directly impacts his platform and reach. Number 5. Relationships strained by egotism. Both figures exhibit strained relationships due to their egotistical natures. Champa's constant need to one-up Beerus leads to a contentious relationship that is more about rivalry than brotherhood. Similarly, Ralph's relationships, particularly with former allies and colleagues, often sour due to his confrontational style and need to assert dominance. These relationships are fraught with conflict and usually end acrimoniously, reflecting their inability to form lasting, positive connections. Moreover, their egotism often blinds them to the needs and perspectives of others. Champa rarely considers the wishes or well-being of his team or brother, focusing solely on his desires and whims. Ralph's interactions also often display a disregard for others' feelings or the broader impact of his actions, prioritizing personal gain or satisfaction over collaborative success or community well-being. Number 4. Ridicule and reputation. Public ridicule is a common theme in the lives of both Champa and Ralph. Champa's antics and failures in Dragon Ball Super are often the butt of jokes among other characters, diminishing his stature as a god. Ralph faces a similar plight. His missteps and controversies make him a frequent subject of mockery and disdain in online communities. Their reputations suffer as a result, with each being viewed more as a cautionary tale than a respected figure in their respective domains. Their inability to effectively manage their reputations is compounded by their actions. Champa's childish disputes and Ralph's controversial streams and social media posts continually feed into the cycle of ridicule. Instead of rectifying their behaviors, both tend to double down, often making the situation worse and ensuring their reputations remain tarnished. 3. Power mismanaged. Obsession with power and control marks both Champa's and Ralph's narratives. Champa's role as a god of destruction imbues him with immense power, which he often mismanages through pettiness and poor decision-making. Ralph's control over his media platform grants him significant influence, which he similarly mismanages by engaging in sensationalism and unethical practices. Both misuse their power, leading to instability and chaos within their realms. This misuse is often driven by a desire to assert superiority, whether through displays of strength or dominance over others. Champa's power struggles with Beerus, and Ralph's online feuds are manifestations of their need to feel powerful and feared rather than respected. This approach alienates others and diminishes their authority, ultimately leading to their isolation and decreased effectiveness as leaders. 2. Fall from grace. Both Champa and Ralph experience significant falls from grace due to their actions and personalities. Champa, despite his divine status, often finds himself humiliated or on the losing side of conflicts, particularly due to his impulsive decisions and inability to strategize effectively. His losses in tournaments and confrontations with Beerus often result in a loss of face and respect among the other gods and characters in Dragon Ball Super. Similarly, Ralph's career has been marred by a series of public failures and scandals, such as legal issues and the notorious conduct on his streams, which have significantly damaged his standing and credibility in his community. These falls from grace are not quiet affairs. They're marked by public and dramatic downfalls that attract a great deal of attention and commentary. Champa's tantrums and Ralph's outbursts during streams or legal proceedings often become fodder for public consumption and criticism. Their inability to handle setbacks gracefully further exacerbates their situations, leading to cycles of negative behavior and public relations disasters. 1. Temperamental titans. At the core of their troubles, both Champa and Ralph are temperamental titans, frequently letting their emotions get the better of them. Champa's temper is legendary in Dragon Ball Super, with his rage and frustration often setting the stage for major plot developments and battles. His emotional volatility makes him a predictable yet dangerous character, causing trouble for himself and others. Ethan Ralph mirrors this trait with his own explosive temper, which has led to numerous controversies and confrontations. His emotional responses are often unmoderated and extreme, leading to legal troubles and the alienation of his audience and collaborators. Their tempers not only define their personal interactions, but also shape their public personas. Both are known more for their outbursts and temperamental nature than for any positive contributions to their communities or narratives. This characteristic undermines their potential for leadership and respect, cementing their roles as cautionary examples of power combined with unchecked emotion. As we wrap up this critical look at Champa from Dragon Ball Super and Ethan Ralph, we hope you've gained insight into the pitfalls of indulgence and arrogance. Remember, it's important to recognize these traits and strive for balance and self-control in our own lives. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay mindful and keep exploring thought-provoking stories. See ya!